Ever since Mario Party Superstars got aired at the E3 Direct, one of the things I've wondered most about as a Mario Party fan is which boards will return to this game. As we know, 5 boards from the N64 games are set to appear in this game, of which 3 boards have already been confirmed, and I think we already know which ones. This does allow us to speculate on which 2 the remaining boards are most likely to be. I actually made a prediction video on it, where I predicted 2 boards. However, in this video I decided to, instead of picking out 2 boards, why not rank every one of the N64 boards based on how likely they are to return. I'm gonna rank these boards based on how distinct they are from the confirmed boards, aesthetically how the board looks, and mechanically how the board plays. The more distinct, the higher the chance. So with that being said, let's take out that tier list and begin. Okay, so please don't get upset, but starting off the ranking, in last place we have Horrorland. I know people love this board, I do too, in fact it's one of my favorite Mario Party boards of all time. It did so much for just one board, most notably being the day and night cycle, which would later be the staple for Mario Party 6 boards. Gameplay wise, it's very charming and unique. However, if you ignore the gameplay of this board and merely looked at the board from a distance, doesn't it look familiar? Woody Woods is already one of the confirmed boards in Mario Party Superstars, as seen on the cover art. However, when I first saw the cover art, I was actually kind of uncertain whether or not it was maybe Horrorland, because from a distance it looks so similar. Both are forests with pathways all over the place, and in my opinion, a board that looks too similar to a confirmed one has a lower chance of getting in than a board that plays similarly. Because when you first boot up the game and look at the boards, you're not going to judge them based on how they play, because you don't even know how they play yet. You judge them by how they look. And 2 boards with the same theme is gonna make the roster lack diversity. And even gameplay wise, it has some similarities with Peach's birthday cake, as both are boards where stealing coins from other players is very prevalent. So yeah, unfortunately, Horrorland doesn't stand much of a chance against the rest of the pool. I would love to see it return, but it seems very unlikely. From a board that's too similar aesthetically, we now go to a board that mechanically plays too similar to a confirmed board, Deep Blueberry Sea. I don't just mean it kind of borrows an idea, the basic concept is the exact same as Peach's birthday cake. Both boards have the same gimmick of not knowing in the slightest where you'll be ending up. You might pick this route, but only luck will decide whether or not you'll actually be able to go there. That's basically the same thing as Peach's birthday cake. It could have been last place on my ranking, however aesthetically it's actually kind of unique, as it's the only underwater board of the N64 era. So unlike Horrorland, it's not going to make the border roster seem uninspired. But still, once people would start playing it, they would start noticing how lackluster this board collection is. So Deep Blueberry Sea, not a chance that this board is coming back. DKs Jungle Adventure was for many the first Mario Party board they ever played, and it's nothing to wonder about why. It's the easiest one to play, with no major gameplay barriers to turn off newer players. And besides, it's a forest. Who doesn't love forests? But wait, did I just say forest? Don't we already have a forest in this game? Yeah, I think you can see where this is going. Not only that, but it's one of the most uninteresting boards gameplay-wise. It's just a normal star hunting board, so why would they put it together with another much more interesting forest board? So sorry, but this board seems very unlikely as well. Luigis Nrburgring is another board that contrasts itself too little from one of the announced boards, but then again, how many boards haven't been contrasting? Aesthetically, this board is actually very unique, as it's the only board in the entire series except for EGAD's garage to take place in a sort of, garage, as unfitting as it is for Luigi. For this reason, it's not as low on the list as some of the boards we already talked about. However, gameplay-wise, it's way too similar to Woody Woods. Both boards are about the pathways constantly switching new directions. So, again, I have a very hard time thinking we will be seeing this board. Yoshi's Tropical Island is the first board on the list that isn't totally unlikely on my list, but still kind of unlikely. Similarly to Horrorland and Jungle Adventure, this board isn't very contrasting to the boards that are currently already confirmed in the game. In this case, it's Peach's birthday cake. Both are simply boards with just 2 halves, and those halves are circles. Not only that, but both boards come from Mario Party 1 originally. Wouldn't it be foolish to have 2 painfully alike boards from the same game in Mario Party Superstars? Now, gameplay-wise, it's not a full-on carbon copy, as the gimmicks are very different, but still, aesthetically it's very similar to Birthday Cake, and not to mention it will be kind of unfair to new players who have to constantly deal with landing on an event space every second turn. This one's also unlikely. If there's one thing that would make Mario Party Superstars look like a boring game, it might be the fact that none of the confirmed boards so far is a finale board. All Mario Party games have always had a final board that tends to be unlockable. In the N64 games, these boards are Bowser's Magma Mountain in Mario Party 1, Eternal Star in Mario Party 1, Bowserland in Mario Party 2, and Waluigi in Mario Party 3. And out of these strongholds, Waluigi Island, while being the best one, doesn't stand much of a chance of returning. For one, Nintendo seemingly hates Waluigi, and aesthetically it doesn't look so much like a final board, more like a discount Woody Woods. And gameplay wise, we already have something in the middle that blows up after enough people have walked past it. I would love to see this board return, but with the current circumstances, it doesn't seem very likely. Chilly Waters is the most unique beginner board of the N64 titles. In fact, it's so unique that it hurts its chances at returning, and I think it's kind of easy to see why once you play it. How would you describe it? Well, I'd say it as snow. There have only been 2 snow-themed boards in Mario Party, Chilly Waters in Mario Party 3 and Snowflake Lake in Mario Party 6. So I think the inclusion of this board would help it greatly stand out among the rest, aesthetically. It could have been even higher on this tier list, however, there's one thing holding this board back, which would be the ice in the middle. Don't get me wrong, it's a unique gimmick, however, doesn't the idea of having something game-changing in the middle of the board already exist in a confirmed board? It behaves differently, sure, but it's still a gimmick that takes place in the middle of the board, so it would probably be a miracle if it did appear. Our second Mario Party 2 board on the list, Mysteryland. Most people hate this board and would most certainly not like to see it return. Lucky for them, it's not very likely, but unlucky for me, as this is actually one of my favorite boards. Now the reason this board is not very likely, well, okay, haven't I already gone over why? Well, anyways, what puts it slightly above these boards though is the gameplay. None of the announced boards is an island hopper yet, unless you count Peach's birthday cake. But that board only has 2 islands, this one has 4. And gameplay wise, it plays very differently from Peach's birthday cake, as hopping between islands is a little more skill based than in that board. It's just the forest theme that kind of ruins any chance of this board returning. Eternal Star starts off the neutral tier in my opinion, as it has factors both for why it could appear, but also for why it wouldn't appear. Gameplay wise, it's probably one of the most unique takes on the classical star hunting gameplay. Instead of everyone going for a single star that's been randomly placed on the map, there are Koopa Kids spread out over the map. You must get to any one of them, bet 20 coins, and whoever gets the highest dice roll wins a star from the other player. Now, it could be a little too hard for newer players, as there lies the risk of never getting a star at all and just losing coins. However, I think it would really stand out mechanically. But unfortunately, there is already a space-themed board confirmed in the game, a very stereotypical space board. But even then, there are different kinds of space boards. A Spaceland is more space station-centric, an Eternal Star takes place on a huge star. So who knows? This board might appear, it might not. It's just as likely as it's unlikely in my opinion. Bowserland isn't what you typically expect from a Bowser board. Instead of a usual volcanic castle, Bowserland is a derpy amusement park that's literally just a square. Doesn't that sound familiar? We already have a board that is basically a square in Mario Party Superstars. However, despite this, it has a pretty large chance of maybe coming in my opinion. Again, none of the announced boards in the trailer is a final board, and it has a few interesting gimmicks, like the bank space having the reversed roll, or the Bowser parade that arrives every 5 turns. So even if it is a square, it does play very differently. So this is another board that I'm kind of neutral on. Out of all the final stronghold boards, Bowser's Magma Mountain is probably the one that has the largest chance of coming in my opinion. Sure, it has its backsides, it's very unfair to new players, you have very little player agency, and it's so big. But that's why it would make a great spot in the board roster. Imagine if all the other boards are easygoing and nice, and then you get to Bowser's Magma Mountain and gets real. Other than that, I don't have many other reasons, it would just be kind of cool to have this board. And besides, if it gets remade, it doesn't have to be just like the original. Maybe ND could decide to tone it down a little. That could work too. For this reason, Bowser's Magma Mountain is kind of likely to appear in my opinion. This is kind of the opposite to Horrorland. While that board, despite being loved by millions, is one of the least likely boards to return in this game. Wario's Battle Canyon, on the other hand, one of the most hated boards of all time, is actually one of the most likely to return, in my opinion. And when you play it, you quickly see why. It's very distinct from the already confirmed boards, both aesthetically and mechanically. While Mysteryland got the short end of the stick here because of the forest theme, Battle Canyon's mountain theme stands out very much. So despite both of them being island hoppers, this one has the upper hand because of this. Battle Canyon is gameplay-wise one of the most random boards of all time. You have to be super precise with timing to get anywhere, which can translate into luck-based, and while that does sound familiar to an already confirmed board, I'd say it's distinct enough to at least be a possible contender. Now that we're in the top 5, this is where the likely tier begins. All the boards I will be talking about now I think have a very high chance of coming in. And Pirate Land is one of them. Pirate Land is kind of the perfect opening board for a Mario Party game. It's got a cool theme to it, a few unforgiving gimmicks, but on the whole, it's a good board to play if you've never played Mario Party before. And as we've seen, we don't have an announced beach themed board yet, so who knows, maybe we will see this board. Mario's Rainbow Castle is a board I personally would love to see return in Mario Party Superstars. Now it is true that yes, it kind of looks aesthetically similar to Peach's birthday cake, and yes, it kind of plays similar to that board too. However, it's different enough that I still think it's likely. Both are linear boards with bright colors, however, they handle these things differently. While Birthday Cake is more of an island hopping board where you don't know where you'll go, Rainbow Castle is a castle in the sky where you either have to stay as far away from the goal as possible or you have to get there as fast as possible, depending on who's standing there. It has a very different feel from Birthday Cake, so I think it's very likely. And I certainly hope we will be seeing this board again. Ah yes, Creepy Cavern. In other words, the island hopper without any islands. This is one of my favorite boards in the N64 games, and it's also one of the most likely ones to return, I think. Just by looking at this board, you notice how much detail was put into it. The small things really make this board pop up, and I think it would look amazing in HD. And gameplay wise, it's very lucky. There are no huge gimmicks like in Deep Blueberry Sea or Woody Woods, instead you mainly travel across two halves of a board, either by giving this swamp an item he desires, using skeleton keys, or riding on a train. It's a board that's both simple and complex at the same time. The only thing that's kind of holding it back is that we already have an island hopper, but it's a very different kind of island hopper, and it doesn't tackle anything the confirmed boards already tackle. So I would be very happy if we see this board return. And I think it's very likely. If there's one board we all love, it will be Westernland. It's simple, yet unique and original, containing one of the best songs for any Mario Party board. It really feels like you're in a party. This board has everything to make it an extremely likely contender for a board in Mario Party Superstars. There's no massive gimmick that's already been done, and aesthetically we haven't seen a desert yet, and mechanically it's kind of the opposite to Spaceland. As here, the edges are the dangerous parts due to the railway, and the center is the safe way. So this board is very likely, however, it's either this or Spinny Desert that will get into Mario Party Superstars, if any of them at all. In my opinion, Spinny Desert is the single most likely board to return in this game. If it doesn't, I'll literally drop my A on my face. Spinny Desert is similar to Westernland, another desert board, and mechanically, it doesn't do anything that the confirmed boards already have done. However, what it also has over Westernland would be the Mirage Star gimmick, which makes it so that there are always 2 stars on the map, but one is fake. This would make it stand out even more than Westernland, which, although distinct, is that it's scored just a normal star hunting board, similar to Spaceland. In my opinion, this is the most distinct board of them all compared to the confirmed boards, and for this reason, I most certainly believe that we will be getting this board back in Mario Party Superstars. Even though ironically I don't actually like this board, but hey, Nintendo's choice, not mine. So there you have it, my ranking on the most likely boards to return in Mario Party Superstars. What do you think are the most likely boards to return in this game? If you like this video, then please subscribe, share and like this video, because I mean, why not? And as a side note, please follow me on Discord, Twitter and Reddit for updates. Stay tuned for my next video. With that being said, I'm signing off.